Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin.
This is your radio station. This is Radio Caroline. It is now 12 midnight.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to the exciting new sound of Radio 1.
Isn't that pitiful?
Hallmark of quality, Brighton Radio. With music for this, that, and the other.
Do you remember when we left you alone and we went out to listen to it while we were driving around? That's it.
I nearly had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Hello there, and here we all are. We're back together again after 40 years.
40 years.
John,
Hi.
and
Yeah,
it's Denny,
Hi.
and myself, Tony.
Well, say hello.
Say hello.
Hello. Hi everyone.
Say
How are you?
A bit scared.
Yes, I know.
we're all disc jockeys on
I'll be back.
the pirate radio station, land-based, called Brighton Radio.
Is that what they called us?
And, this is the story behind the station. Say 40 years ago. Johnny, why did we start Brighton Radio?
Well, basically, we heard that the others were going to be closed down, the actual pirates at sea, and we were interested. We went to a friend's house who'd already fitted out a studio in his loft.
Oh, yeah.
And we got interested in it and we thought, this is it. This is what we're going to do. And from there on, you and I knocked up a small studio in my bedroom at the top of the house.
Oh, this is in Lancaster Road.
That's Lancaster
your
Road,
home
yeah.
in Lancaster
And
Road, yeah.
that's where we started. And basically, we got everything running, and eventually, one night we crept out. We put the transmitter on, and we did a tour of Brighton to see what the signal was like. After I put up some funny looking aerial in the garden, about 132 foot long.
Right.
I think my mum thought I was putting a new washing line up. But anyway, and it seemed to work, and we went out for a test drive and hoped that no one would knock at the door and say, what are we up to?
Yeah.
And that's
I
how it
think this
started.
is before Radio 1 had started broadcasting.
Oh, yes, yes,
It was,
yeah.
it was the end of the pirate radio
Yeah,
shift,
that's
radio,
right. Yeah,
well,
finished-
Radio London.
Yeah.
Well,
The Marine Offences Act had come in August '67.
that's right.
And
Well, London closed down at 3 o'clock on the 14th, didn't it, of August?
That's right.
And that was the last thing they played was Big
Big
Lil.
Big Lil.
Radio London, do you remember them closing down?
Yes, very plainly. I've been at Scots Radio a month then, and being an apprentice trainee, I used to go out with the engineers quite a lot. And August the 14th, as we know, Radio London closed down. And that particular day, I was out with John Blissett, who was also a Brighton radio person, and we had to do our calls, but we made sure we were back in the van by 5 to 3, so we could actually hear Radio London close down with Paul Kane and the Big Little thing. That was,
Really
yeah.
fantastic memories. We were very
Yeah,
sad
yeah.
to see the demise of Big L.
Well, if you're feeling down, come on and get happy with wonderful Radio London.
Some mention has been made of the fact that mine was the first voice to be heard on Radio London. It will also be the last in regrettably few minutes from now. Big L time is 3 o'clock and Radio London is now closing down.
Big L, wonderful Radio London.
And we then started, well, it must have been a few weeks afterwards.
Yeah.
Obviously we had to assemble the, or lash together.
I think what was surprising was
that it worked.
Well, that it worked, but what you could do with 2 record decks, a reel-to-reel tape, and the expertise of
a technician,
Tony, a technician.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I can putting
these skills to early colour television
yes.
engineering
yes.
to slightly sideways of building transmitters.
Yeah, indeed. And Radio 1, I think, had started shortly about the month after Marina Fences built, but Radio 1 didn't broadcast much, very little in the way of programming.
It was still very much in the light programme mode.
Yeah,
that's right. Which it had been. We had radio, the third programme, the home service,
and the light programme.
Light programme. Yeah. That's right. So Radio 1 was supposed to be the pop station, but unfortunately, it spent many hours of the day combined with Radio 2. So we had children's programmes.
That's it. Yes, it had the children's hour, and it was Ed Stewpot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He carried he took the children's programme.
So the imagination of the youth and us, and it wasn't the same. It was no substitute for the pirate radio.
Good morning. This is Paul Hollingdale on this opening day of Radio 1 and Radio 2, welcoming you to Breakfast Special.
Wake up easy, start the day right. Wake up easy, smile and be bright.
In very little time now, it will be my pleasure and privilege to launch Radio 1 and 2. All of us here who have worked so hard during these past weeks have done so with 2 principal aims in view: to provide you with a better service of popular music and a greater measure of choice. Well, in a few moments, it's going to be 7 o'clock, time for the first Tony Blackburn show on Radio 1, whilst Breakfast Special continues on Radio 2 with Paul Hollingdale. And then, of course, at 8:30, there'll be Junior Choice with Leslie Crowther. At 5 to 10, 9:55, 5 to 10 on Radio 2, and on Radio 1, the first instalment, the first programme in our new competition, Crack the Clue.
I think Radio 1, in its defence, had limited budgets because of the performing rights and how many records they could
That's
actually
right,
play.
Needle Time, wasn't it, mate?
That's right, Needle Time, but and of course the Pirates. But of course they got the audience.
Yeah.
And if they got the audience, then that attracts the advertising.
That's right.
And so on and so forth. So,
yeah.
So we were
Well, I wonder
really...
what our one listener thought about it.
Oh, we had at least 3.
I think we had. We had
3 requests.
We had 3 listening in. We had some friends who were fiddling about trying to find us, and then we had half the neighbourhood. Yes. We had half a neighbourhood of John's neighbourhood
I think a number
that was listening to us through BBC One.
That's another story. We'll come on to transmitters a bit later and interference problems. But basically, we were in Brighton, and there were 2 of us in Brighton. There was SRE, Swinging Radio England, and ourselves.
That's right.
And we were basically the 2 running pirate radio stations from various locations around the Brighton area. And we'll talk about transmitters and power and the reach we had, which was quite amazing sometimes, which was very good. But coming back to our very first studio, which was, as you say, in your bedroom there, John, upstairs, and we are 132 foot. I think we were running about 50 watts of power. And
were we?
Yeah, I think. Well,
it got to the end of the era then.
It got to the end of the era. Got to the end of the road. And the DJs, it was yourself, wasn't it? You were called Johnny Preston.
Yep.
And Dennis, what was your DJ name?
My early name was Denny Scott.
Denny Scott, and I was called the Kangaroo.
The Kangaroo.
Something to do with the way I walked. A little bit of a bounce. I still do. And we had a station manager, I think, or someone that certainly did
Peter Williams.
Peter Williams.
Pete Williams.
I think Pete McCarthy was his name. He called himself, and he was very good at doing the Live 25 lists.
He was very good actually at doing the charts.
That sort of thing. So,
I used to compile the Live 25, I sourced and purchased records, I assisted at outside events, and I generally helped wherever I could.
I can never remember why we call it the Live 25. Why not the top 10 or top 20?
Well, Brighton Radio was a unique station, and everybody else had top 20s, top 10s, top 40s. We wanted it just to be something totally different. It's the Live 25 it became.
Can we have a listen to one of your early
by
radio
all
programmes?
means.
And this is Dennis.
Yeah. Oh,
very, very early broadcast.
It had to be early.
This is good. Have a
This is
listen.
yours truly, Dennis Scott on 199 metres on Brighton Radio. Sorry about that, but I nearly got a shock off there. We've got so much equipment now, it's all live, and masses of wires and everything else, you know. So, if you hear any yelps, because old Johnny Preston's mucking about with a screwdriver poking in the works there. Injured, John? Still. Anyway, a lot of you people just tuning in now are probably getting a lot better signal. You know, we've put in a lot more equipment. It's great expense to our pocket. But anyway, you know, this is for a service to you, so keep tuning our way. And we give you Revive 45s and the sweeter music with the sweeter station.
The fastest thing in the air.
For all you lonely girls, one of the records, and lonely fellas, come to that, one of the records I know it's a bit of a weepy, and for all you couples that's walking along the promenade now and holding hands and whispering sweet nothings in your ear, I'll never get that, you know, I don't, no. I fork out all my money, you know, and I take them for a walk, I walk for miles and miles, and they say, thanks very much, I'll see you around sometime, and so I go home crying to myself. And I have to come on board ship and I have to face the two Mickey takers, Johnny Preston and Kangaroo.
Here's a hit from the hard side.
Something tells me something's gonna happen tonight.
Talking about Chinese meals, don't forget Chop Suey House in Queen's Road for your takeaway meals. I've been in there many a time and brought the stuff back to the ship. Mind you, the time I've got back to the ship, it's been cold because I have to row out, you see. But it gets covered in seawater and the others don't like it very much.
Can you remember those early broadcasts?
So now I think I had my hand stuck up his back.
Well, there we are.
That's the way you do it.
Yeah. Well,
working the pumps.
Yeah. Do you remember the equipment we had at Lancaster Road that you would have been using? They were the turntables.
Yeah, but I don't know what we had as a jingle machine.
Something because reel to reel.
Yeah, it's a reel, yeah.
Reel to reel, but
I know
the bottom just sank.
I know we had that Philips Cossa recorder that I had.
The Cossa, yeah. Yes.
To record them on.
That was making this, recording the programmes.
Recording the programme.
We would record the programmes and then take the recorder or the tapes to a transmitter site.
That's right.
Where there would be a play-out recorder
to
play
that's
back,
right.
which was always separate from the studio.
Always.
Safeguarding the studio from the transmitter.
Although it didn't
just
have
in
a
case we got caught and got the equipment confiscated.
It didn't have a Lancaster Road.
No,
Actually transmitted
live.
Yeah.
We took a few chances.
We took a few chances, and then the GPO hadn't listened into anything by that time because they were unaware.
Johnny, let's listen to your very early programming. There's a snippet from there, so here's Johnny Preston.
It's the Johnny Preston show. Isn't that pitiful? Away, let us go.
Now, God blimey.
And here comes the special Brighton Radio announcement. Brighton Radio will shortly be going off the air to install a new transmitter and a new radiating mast. And this is to be erected fairly soon. So this means that Brighton Radio will be off the air for a short while after this weekend. We hope to be commencing full programmes by June 1969. and this will mean that a greater coverage over the south coast will be given by Britain Radio. And Britain Radio will come into your homes louder and clearer. But don't forget, Britain Radio will be on the air tomorrow on 199 meters in the medium wave band.
Today's Hit Pickers Hotline Countdown. Go, go! 10.
Games people pay, Joe's out.
9.
I Heard It the Grapevine, Marvin Gaye.
8.
Love in the World, Consortium.
7.
Get Ready, The Temptations.
6.
Touch Me, The Doors.
5.
You, Babe, The Mamas and Papas.
4.
Rum Road, Love Affair.
3.
1st of May, Bee Gees.
2.
Sorry, Sudan, The Holidays.
1.
Actually, if Mr. Simon Johns has been giving you the wrong time checks, well, Kangaroo got a hold of Big Ben this morning and put the hands back by 2 hours.
Whenever you touch me, baby, whenever you're near.
Do you have happy memories of making programming, John?
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. It was good. Well, there was a lot of camaraderie that went on. And if you remember rightly, we used to use downstairs, the room downstairs, and we had a speaker in it.
Did we? That's right.
And
Yeah.
there was an armchair in there, and Dennis used to snog his girlfriend in the other place. Yeah.
This is in Langston
Yeah.
Road.
In the end, we didn't go in. We didn't go in that room. Dennis took it No, seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that was the room. Was that the room with the convertible sofa, wasn't it?
that's right. You got it. Yeah.
For all night shows.
Well, don't forget, in those days, my grandmother owned the property, didn't she? And I think we had to be out by 11. No, 10 o'clock, wasn't it?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock was.
There was a bit of bang on the.
Yeah.
Isn't it time your friends went home?
Halfway through the programme, it sounded as though the engine was giving. What we got to mention here is that Dennis joined us via the TA in effect, didn't he?
That's right.
You see, we did that gig on Dyke Road in the old house.
Oh, in the big old manor house. Yes, you're right.
And that's when you joined it, and you were interested and you wanted to join
That's when
us.
Sue was.
Sue was there, and Ruth and well, not so much Ruth because Ruth was somebody else at that particular time.
Right,
but
Diane.
Julie was there.
Julie and Diane.
Yeah,
and Diane.
Diane. Yes, Diane.
Little
yes.
Diane.
Oh yeah, little black haired girl. Yeah,
that's
I know
it.
one, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, she was number 5.
Lived in Coldine Lane.
Did
bless
she?
her, yeah.
We did find that out.
Because you and I, we met at the Brighton Technical College.
Yeah.
We were learning TV servicing.
Television.
And
what did you call that?
Sitting Gills
That's
course
it.
we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
48, something called the 48.
Television mechanics.
Television.
Is that what that's what they classed it as? Yeah.
Right.
And then we got into. Well, I got interested in, which you were already in anyway. I got interested in radio amateur stuff.
Oh yes, yeah.
But only as a pirate.
Yes.
We must have only been 19, 18, 19.
You were slightly older because you had the beard.
I first met Tony when I joined Scots Radio in July 1967, and I joined the company as a television engineer, trainee TV engineer, and as a consequence of this I was sent to Brighton Technical College where I met Chris Humphries.
Because you used to listen to all these DJs and you think, oh, I wish I could be there and be part of it. And then suddenly you come across like-minded friends that were new acquaintances that become friends, and you think, but they're technicians, they've built this stuff and they built the studio, and you think, oh, this is how it works.
Right.
And then when you see photos, the ships weren't very much different from the setup.
It's interesting hearing your enthusiasm. As techies, we don't think so much about it.
No.
But you're coming on, oh, it's a station here.
Exactly. Can I go? Oh yeah, and you can hear yourself talking, and you can queue up and still, and suddenly you think, and you've got a live mic, So what are you got to do then? Start training yourself, and I mean that early recording, it was click, what did I? Yeah, because
we were all learning at that time.
You know, it's but then it become much slicker, and then you realise then that the DJs that were going out on board ship done a lot of pre-flight training before they went out.
Well, we've got some great recordings of you as the time went on. Very professionally done, and Johnny there.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
very, very good indeed.
Yeah, I mean,
can I talk to you about jingles? Now, where do we get our jingles from? I mean, you've got to have you've got a radio station,
right?
Actually, Mel supplied some jingles.
Mel supplied, and you know how we got hold of that?
He's a chap from Brewer Street up in the Rocks.
Because it was part of the swinging Radio England.
Right.
That's it. It was, and the jingles, because they were Pam's jingles, and the ones they used was under the Series 27, Series number 27, which you can still get.
Advert time.
Yeah.
This is a company in America.
Yeah, Pam's. Yeah. Well, it went. It folded up. It closed down. Right. But they bought the copyright and all the stock, and you can still get the series. It's identifying, and they do what they call cuts. And you can go and download all the cuts, and you can identify it. And I identified the ones that we used were Series 27. I mean, I remember when we had our studios down in Rock Street, which was the back entrance. It was the servants' quarters to Lewis Crescent.
That was our second second studio.
That's our second studio.
Once we moved from Lancaster Road.
Yeah, that was our second studio, and I remember you could look at, in one studio. You could look, and Mel had. Well, we had a big reel of jingles, and I always remember there was 150 jingles on it because each jingle had a number, and it was a little bit of tape tacked at the end of the jingle with the number on it. So as it was going round,
tape, the number written on it.
That's it. And then we had a running list, so you could just cue up the jingle and say, you know, fine, it's 5 minutes after the hour, 6 o'clock, and we'll be back after this, bang. And
anyway, let's have a listen to Dave Downing. This is Christmas 1971. Have a listen to this.
And time is exactly 6 o'clock. You're tuned to Britain Radio on 234 metres, that's 1290 kilohertz in the medium wave band, the station with the most on the southeast coast. And now we go to Studio 1 for the Dave Downing Radio Prog.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Dave Dowling, and welcome to the weekend great gathering of the Golden Goodies, with a selection of records old and new. Thank you very much indeed. Oldie goldie time now from the Ivy League. Record request time now for Jackie and Ron Gocher of 24 Ticehurst Road. They give me a real headache here when they asked for the request from the Herd from the Underworld, a 1967, would you believe, sound. To you, Ron, and a very happy Christmas, and to you, Jackie, all my love. Tuned to the Dave Dowling Weekend Great Gathering of the Golden Goodies. Record request time once more, would you believe, for Pat Moore from Norman, and she lives at 28 Queensway, Craven Vale, and which she would like 'Cause I Love You from Slade, currently number 2, I believe, in the Live 25, and also to all the staff at Associated Deliveries, Kemptown Station Goods Yard in Kemptown. A funny place to have a place. Yes, that's right. Kemptown Station Goods Yard over there in Brighton.
I won't laugh at you when you boo-hoo-hoo, 'cause I love you.
Now this request is going out for Brenda and Keith Jones, or Brenda Pontin and Keith Jones of Nuthurst Road in Brighton. And they're getting married in a couple of weeks' time, so from all of us to you two, God bless you both.
So let me take your hand and lead you through a snow-white land. Oh, 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 my love, the year is older.
We had other DJing. I think Johnny was the only person that kept his name all the way through it, Johnny Preston. But for some unknown reason, Dennis and myself kept changing our names. You only had two names.
Yeah, Denny Scott.
Dennis Scott.
And then it was Dave Dowling.
Dave Dowling, which...
How did you get to Denny Scott out of interest? Can you
Well,
remember?
Denny, everybody knew me as Denny. And Scott, I think probably because of who you work for.
Ah, yes, Scott's Radio.
You see, so
No, you didn't work for Scott's, did you?
No,
we did.
But you did. So
Oh,
I
I
thought,
see.
so I thought, oh, Denny Scott. Yeah.
Well, I got mine by using my first name.
Yeah.
And the area, which was the Prestonville area.
Preston Village.
So it was called the
right.
Preston. Yeah.
Yeah. They quite often had part of our real names in it, but not always. But that
Funny, I
Maybe
think,
kangaroo.
yeah, but yeah,
way of walk.
if you think about it, I mean, it's very, very Freudian, you know, that even though it's subliminal in so much that when you know that you're doing something technically outside the law,
yes,
you have to admit you're doing it. So anybody watching it, there's a clue there that, oh, I wonder where you're operating from. I wonder, and it's like, oh, Denny Scott. And it's sort of, it sounds like the Brighton and Preston.
Yes.
Oh, Preston Road, there's Preston Drove, there's Preston. What's in there? Oh, Scott's Radio. You know, and it is little pointers. You know that it is very, very subliminal.
Yes.
So where did the next one come from then? Dave Dowling.
Dave Dowling. Do you know? I've got an idea. I think I saw a name of an estate agent.
You weren't a carpenter, no, Dowling was
No, it was. I think it was a name. And I thought Denny Dowling. Nah, it's a bit twee.
Dowling,
Dave.
that's right. Yeah.
And I thought, Dave Dowling.
Wow.
And I think that when you know, I was going somewhere up around Kingston or something, and I thought, Dowling, Dave Dowling, Dave Dowling.
Now it runs off the town.
Yes, yeah. You know, so I thought,
Yeah.
So
where did we get Mark Anthony? Well, Anthony obviously being your name. But where did we get the Mark?
I
suppose
absolutely have no idea at all.
infamy, they've all got it infamy.
no, knife in the back.
Probably. Have the clue.
Too many
Have the
stats.
clue. Have the clue. There was Dave, yes, I mean Mark Anthony and Edmund St John.
That I haven't got a clue.
What on earth?
Edmund St John. But what was this road you lived in?
Park Crescent.
No,
Ed Burton Avenue.
Ed Burton. Oh, right. Well, it's just a play on Edmund
Sounds like
St
a
John.
boat cruise, doesn't it?
Edmund St John.
Edmund St John.
Well, you've got Richard Harris to blame for that. He made a record called MacArthur Park, and when I first joined Britain Radio, I imagined I was going to be a disc jockey, and the record like a good theme tune because it's an instrumental record, 7 minutes long with vocals in it. So there was plenty of scope for a theme tune, and also the name MacArthur made a good DJ surname. I thought so. MacArthur Park it was.
We had a guest DJ.
No.
Don't mind you catch fire. we had a guest DJ join us for Christmas '71. Who was a pro, well, in so much as I think he used to DJ at the local pub along Lewis Road. Was it the Ship?
Yeah.
We think it was. His DJ name was Brian Gibson, and he clearly had quite a bit of experience. But he came and joined us on that one Christmas. He probably had nothing else to do, but he was very good, and we've got an hour of programming of him, which is quite brilliant. But some great experiences there in the studio, and some of the funny things that happened.
Smoke signals.
I think some of the funniest things during a programme will be other disc jockeys coming in and taking the mickey and playing practical jokes and all things. But let's have a listen to a little bit of Brian Gibson. Here we go.
Thanks very much there, Johnny Preston. Really fantastic show there. You're in tune with Britain Radio on 234 meters in the medium wave band. In the chair on the air, your DJ, BG, Brian Gibson here, taking you through till 4 o'clock. Hope you had an enjoyable Christmas yesterday and going to enjoy Boxing Day tomorrow.
The sound of DJ Brian Gibson there. Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you again. And time you've been running a TV aerial business.
Certainly were.
What was his name?
New Image.
Right. And you were working in the Brighton area, were you?
Certainly was. Yes.
What customers? What was?
Well, primarily Scots Radio.
Right. Well, that's where you and I must have met, of course.
That must have been that, indeed.
The happy days there. And at that time, you'd been running your own pirate radio station, I think, before we started. And you're making recordings at home, I think. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, as we had to in those days, of course it was all clandestine and everything else. So we were obviously making recordings to use for our transmissions on a Sunday.
Right.
Because all transmissions were basically used on a Sunday broadcast.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I suppose during the week we were all working anyway. And
Absolutely. Yeah. One of our biggest problems at the time, if you remember, were the lovely old GPO that used to love to track us down on a Sunday. Yeah. And it was a game between us and them. Every time we turned the transmitter on.
We were keeping a watch out behind the curtains.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Got a sound right now. Comes to Mr. Dave Clark's 5. Some good old rock and roll. Actually, I must just fade down here. We've got Mr. Mark Anthony in here mopping up the studio. Johnny Preston is really under the weather. Well, you should be here. It's live radio. So it's the last 5 minutes, 6 minutes of my programme, so why not have a good laugh? We hope you had a really enjoyable Christmas this year, and we'll probably see you with a bit of luck next year.
You had an aerial at home, I believe, in Argyle Road.
I most certainly did. Well, that was basically for testing my transmitter.
Right.
Which wasn't used for normal transmission. But it was used, obviously, for use to find the best from the transmitter.
Right. And how long was the aerial?
About 230 feet.
Wow. Where did it run from?
From my studio to the railway embankment.
It's handy.
Very good, actually. I remember walking down one evening whilst I was doing a quick test transmission with a 4-foot fluorescent tube, which would look for the peak spots along, obviously, the aerial. And it was quite exciting, actually.
Got a sound right now from you. It comes from Free. All right, now.
She stood in the street, smiling from her head to her feet. I said, hey, what is this? Now, baby, maybe she didn't need our kiss. I said, hey.
I believe you made your own transmitter.
I most certainly did.
Right. Do you remember the valves that were in it at the time?
807s. Oh. And KT66s.
Right. would have been for the modulator.
Yes, because obviously it had to be modulated because we were only on AM.
Yeah, that's right. I believe there wasn't a shop in Lower Hollandbury Road.
Oh, yes, that was Tut's Radio.
Yeah.
Which Chick was of great assistance to me, obviously, because in the early stages I had no knowledge of transmitters or, you know, amplitude modulation, so I needed a little help on that, but he helped most dearly. And there was another shop in Worthing which was GWM, because that used to sell ex-army equipment, which of course, you know, is where we could get transmitting valves from.
Yes.
And of course, bigger transmitters, and obviously, like everything else, you tried to improve the quality that you had.
Indeed, I think you broadcast from other locations.
Oh, most certainly, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
But of course, that used to take the normal problem of having to get an aerial established before the day of transmission.
Oh, really fantastic. Cheers for us all there. That was a little thing from Dave Clark 5 being titled Good Old Rock and Roll. We've got Johnny Preston, Mark Anthony in the studio right now. We've finished with the water, have we, John? Actually, you should have been here. Really was fantastic. Yeah. And there's Mark Anthony with his pipe in his mouth, actually.
That's not his pipe, that's his tongue hanging out.
Anyway, are we going to introduce the next record?
Yes. One,
Right.
two, three. It's the 1910 Fruit Gum Company.
Talking of aerials, when we were running Britain Radio and you joined us on that for a show in 1971, December the 26th, and during that period we did some broadcasts, limited number of broadcasts from a block of flats very near you, near here, Swansborough Place.
Exactly.
And there were tall blocks of flats, and I believe you helped put the aerial up.
I did actually assist in erecting the aerial from there.
Yeah.
Yes.
You must have been on one side, and I may have been with you on that same side. And the owner of the property, the flat, top flat, he was on the other side. And I think there was talk of a.
We used a fishing reel, or fishing rod and reel, so that we could pull the aerial over.
Right.
Because in those days, remember, it was just a long aerial, i.e. a long wire, which of course was very interesting.
It was high, wasn't it?
Most certainly was. What's that, 9 stories?
Got a sound now from the Crazy Elephant. Actually, we've got more troubles with the jingle machine.
From the land of Georgia to the Gulf of water to California, I'm gonna spend my life a broken night. Give me good loving every night. You know it's all right time. Give me good loving, make it all right.
We had the weather forecast read by a gentleman called Simon Johns, who was Pat Goss, and what do we think about Simon Johns? He was brilliant.
Oh, he was terrific. Very droll.
Very dry, very dry humour.
Yeah.
I seem to remember he used to do the jazz programme. Unfortunately, we haven't got any.
No,
any
we
copies
haven't
of that.
Have you got some of them doing the weather forecast?
I've got some of them here doing
terrific.
the weather forecast.
Yeah.
In actual fact, making
Never forget,
the tape.
never forget when we were in the studio with him doing the recording for the weather forecast, because you say we had to do 5 or 6 recordings, didn't we? Because we didn't know exactly what it was going to be like until the night before.
That's right.
And we used to just chop it in. And he sits there and he's talking across the studio, and he wasn't actually talking into the mic that we normally use. He was talking to another one actually opposite the deck, the recording deck. And it got to a point where it got to the temperature, and he used to say it's a high of so and so and a low of so and so and blah blah. And then you and I took the mickey out of him. But she was not amused. And he said, today's high will be so and so, and today's low, and we all went, hello, hello. Yeah, so, yeah. He said, bloody won't want me to do this. I'll have to do it properly.
Take one. Better luck.
Do we fuck that up a bit?
Yes, we do. Off we go.
Shall I carry on?
Yeah.
Here is Britain radio weather. The dull periods now over England will continue.
Start again.
Why?
Start again. Levels are wrong. Okay. Take 3.
Hello, wrong levels. Here is Britain radio weather. The dull periods now over England will continue. Tomorrow's will be much the same. Tonight's temperatures will be a low of 5 degrees centigrade. This has been Britain radio weather. Simon Johns reporting.
Simon Johns there. Outside events, we did a lot of outside events as Britain Radio, and perhaps you can talk us through some of it, because some of those were to do with the Territorial Army, some were private wedding or party.
I always remember the first ones. The TA, the commanding officers said, we're going to hold a fundraising and a social gathering for officers and their ladies and other ranks and their wives.
Superb. Yeah.
And so get it organised. Right. So, and it's up here, which was in Red Hill at the time. And that was fine. We had all the catering laid on and the dance hall and everything. And at the last minute, we couldn't get hold of all the group. The disco at the time let us down. So I ventured very gingerly to say, well, we'll do it.
Wow. Fantastic.
So I come back to you guys and said, would you do the Red Hill gig? So we brought all the stuff up, the decks, we had a couple of decks.
Did we take them out of the studio, those two
Yeah,
decks?
took the decks up and set them up.
In a plinth on their own.
On a plinth, yeah, and we had a couple of...
Something told the ends up.
couple of carpenters...
Gold trestles.
Workhorses.
Yeah.
Two of those either side.
They just done specially for
Yes,
the
it was only off. Yeah, and it would cut. I think it was you, Tony, cut out the holes, drop the decks in, and then a whole record collection went up.
Yes.
And I tell you what, I wore a blue shirt and a cravat, and I had the Mickey taken out on me absolutely remorselessly. But I was as nervous as any other thing, so. I used to be a lager drinker, but I had a couple of whiskies. Never drank whiskey in my life, but it gave me Dutch courage to get up and kick it off. And the first record that I played was Stone Love. Always remember Stone Love. And we slowed it down, and they started dancing.
Yeah.
Once they initially got up, then we wound the music
I'll never forget when I got on there and I did that Lynn Barry. That was made my evening.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. I put it on, and everybody got up and danced. And they were a terrific crowd.
Yeah.
By then, they were really all going. Yeah.
I think we did other gigs. We do.
Well, I said Dennis, we did. What was it? The Hebe.
The Hebe Arms Insurance.
You don't remember that?
I don't
Yeah,
remember
we did that. That was
that
upstairs and above the pub.
That was a private.
We did a private do in Woodingdean in someone's house, and then we did the Woodingdean. I don't know, it's a community centre.
Community hall.
Oh yes, the community centre. Wasn't the Sea Cadets night? Was it?
I don't know, but it had quite a few youngsters there that night.
It sounds like it was
the
nautical NTC.
NTC
nautical training, and it was probably their parents' fundraising thing. They probably because most of our stuff we done for
that night. We actually took over the new disco because we were thinking of doing it real good.
Right, so
that you built.
Wow.
You actually built it,
and
it worked
rather than
very.
ripping out the turntables from the existing studios.
It worked very, very well. Now those were the decks, the SP25s that we had in your place.
Yeah,
at Burton Avenue. And that's when you stripped that down and you made the studio because we'd called it a day on the. Well, it weighed a ton. I'll tell you what, you did it very nicely because you painted it in black and then varnished it.
Right.
Remember?
Yeah.
And on the front you put all red and various flashy lights.
I remember making our own sound to light
units. Yes, we did that.
Using some thyristors from TV sets.
Yeah.
I seem to remember. But there we are. That was fun.
That was good.
Can we have some music?
Yes, have some music.
This is Johnny Preston from Christmas '71, and have a listen to this.
All the stockings you will find hanging in a row. Mine will be the shortest one. You'll be sure to know.
Anyway, another request coming up now, and this is for Mr. and Mrs. Spiller, who live somewhere in Hangleton, and not to forget to mention their son Nicholas, who will be 2 in January. Anyway, I hope you all had a very happy Christmas up there in Hangleton, and I believe you went over to your Mama and Papa's yesterday. I can't remember the address quite, somewhere in Harsworth Crescent, that's all I can remember at the moment. Anyway, this is Britain Radio, don't forget, on 234 metres in the medium wave band, 1290 kilohertz, and you're listening to the Johnny Preston Show, which is now about to go on with another record, coming up to the hour 5 minutes past 1, by the way, and another record which goes something like this. Oh, my life! Oh, we'll have it at the right speed, shall we? That's what you get when you try to be clever on this programme. Don't forget, Mark Anti's coming to you between the hours of 4 and 6, and I heard it through the grapevine. Yeah, I bet you did. Just coming to the studio is Mark Anthony. I don't know what he's doing here so early, because his programme's not until 4 o'clock. Yes, that's when his programme starts. And very good afternoon to you. Have you had dinner yet?
Not quite. I've just woken up, actually. Just got up and heard your voice coming over the monitor in the cabin, and threw a blanket at it and went back to sleep.
I love it. I love it. Did you have a nice day yesterday?
Very nice indeed. Weather's a bit peculiar, isn't it? But
Right,
still, it's
yes,
a bit
it's-
rough on board, you know.
Yes, it's a bit of an up and downer, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Yes, don't forget then, ladies and gentlemen, this is Britain Radio.
I'm going back to prepare my programme.
Are you?
I'll see you later on.
You're not going to stay for a little while?
Well, a little, 5 minutes.
Oh, and you don't go back to bed again, my life.
Might as well.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you on
That's Johnny Preston there. After we'd gone from Lancaster Road, we then went to Rock Street in Brighton.
Yeah.
Can you sort of briefly give us a sum up of what happened in
Well,
Rock
that's
Street?
Rock Street. I think Mel Bowden came to us and he said, look, you know, we want to be your studios. We found a place from an estate agent. Now, it's empty at the moment. Nobody can live. It's in a basement, Lewis Crescent. And we thought, Lewis Crescent? Whoa, that's real going up market. Nobody can live in the basement because it's unfit for human habitation. But it's okay. At the moment, it's being used as a film studio. Well, it was being used as a naughty films, and yes.
Why didn't we take that up instead?
More profitable.
With my feet. So we said, well, yes, the model and the photographers either moved out or behind bars, but and he said, did he leave a forwarding address for the model?
No, that must be Carol across street.
Yes.
Probably. It probably was, but she used to do, like, you know, open leg shots
Massage.
and anything else, and massage.
How long were we at Rock Street?
Oh, I think we were there a good 18 months.
So we made a number of programmes.
Oh, yes.
Which would have been broadcast.
We made a load of programmes that.
Well, Britain Radio at the time was getting very popular, and because of this we needed more DJs and larger premises. So in a joint partnership with Radio England, we acquired these premises in Rock Street, Brighton. We all mucked in together with the woodwork and the carpentry and built 2 really nice studios. Britain Radio had one of the studios and Radio England had the other one.
I believe your friend Chris did the engineering for SRE.
That's right, yeah. Chris was the Radio England engineer, and Tony was the engineer for Britain Radio. And it all led to good things, really. One of the DJs went on to Radio North International, and another one of the DJs went to the ship in Lewis Road, you know, and had a 7.5-year DJ contract.
There's a lovely pub opposite the Rock Pub, I think it was
There's the
called.
Rock Pub and the Irvy Arms.
I remember going in there, so they have a gin and tonic. My wife or girlfriend at the time, Christine, she'd have a gin and... I think she had a gin and tonic, I had a gin and orange,
Yeah.
that was the thing. And they always had a goulash, that was it.
That's it.
They had just one thing to eat was a goulash.
Yeah.
And that's what we used to have. And that was... Let's move on to our final... studio site, and that was Ed Burton Avenue,
Yeah.
5 Ways, where I used to live. We built a studio in the basement there.
No, you built a studio in the basement, and I'll tell you what, it was really a terrific studio.
And we
Now,
took the turntables from
yeah.
Wall Street, I think.
No, well, whatever was on the
Whatever it was,
disco, we
disco.
fitted in there,
Yeah.
and that was the best of the lot. It's a shame you had to strip it down, but it was a good one. And in fact, we had a chap come down from the BBC, who was a friend of my then wife Ruth, and I took him up there to let him have a listen to it, and he was absolutely amazed by the quality of this playback from the studio. He thought it was really great. In fact, we had a photograph, I think, in that time then.
Yeah, we had the photograph in Rock Street.
Right.
Yes.
So the quality was terrific. That so much that Tony and I got invited up to go see Radio 1 Studios in was it not
Broadcasting House.
Yeah. What was it? 9. I can't remember the name of the street. But we ended up in Langford's Hotel, was it first?
Yeah.
And we met in there. And we met the
executive producer.
Executive producer, Derek Chinnery.
Derek Chinnery.
And he was requested to take us round on a guided tour.
Personal guided tour.
Yeah,
Just a
which was
service.
rather nice.
It was.
We did the Radio 1 studios, and of course, in those days I didn't realise that there was a continuity room, that they were so clever at listening to what was actually going out. And I always used to stand in front of the speakers when I was watching. Of course, as soon as someone was doing in front of the speakers, they knew, and they said, "Do you mind just moving over a bit, you know, because you're in front of the speaker." They had this speaker, and they knew the quality by listening, and they were facing the opposite way.
Yeah.
But they knew I was standing in front of it. And then we went in and saw Terry Wogan, didn't we?
Yes, we
Oh,
did.
right.
And we were allowed to go in there while he was actually
Yes.
on air, and he was out
He
of
was
a lot.
very
He was
friendly.
the very friendly fellow.
He would take his headphones
Yeah,
off, stand
and
up,
talk to us,
to us,
yeah.
take us by the hand, talk to us,
Yeah.
and say, "Well, just a moment, I
Yeah,
got to
good,
go back on the air, play his record, talk
Yeah.
to the audience, come back up
Yeah,
again, talk to us."
and then at the end of the day they were doing Roscoe's Round Table, because I think it was a Friday.
Yeah.
And we then met, well, I don't know if we were actually introduced, but we saw Tony Blackburn and Nightingale.
A popular watering hole after we'd done a day's recordings in the studio for Britain Radio crew and another station, Swinging Radio England, also in Brighton, was a pub at the Hoe Cricket Ground. Do you remember the name of that?
Yeah, it's called the Cricketers.
Oh, of course, yeah, by the cricket ground,
That's
wasn't
right.
it? That's
yeah,
right.
what you call it.
I think that's where you met Swinging Radio England's engineer Chris Humphreys, that you became very pally with, and I believe you helped him build some transmitters or test some transmitters.
That's right. Speaking to Chris in the pub, we realised that we lived less than 10 minutes walk away from each other in Portslade, and Chris used to build transmitters at his home, and obviously before use they needed quite thorough testing, and so what we used to do, we used to load the transmitters up with a dummy load, and then with the transistor radio, Chris and I used to walk around Portslade and things, and we knew that if we got to the seafront and could still hear the signal, the transmitter was going to be okay.
What do you do this at night time or?
No, yeah, under the covers of darkness, yeah.
Cool. Did anyone get suspicious or ask you what you were doing?
Well, we got stopped by the police once. We were both walking up to Felga Road,
right,
carrying this transistor radio. It was quite a large HMV one at the time, and the police said, "Where are you going? Where you been?" And described the radio to us, sort of stuff. So we bluffed our way through that and went on our way quite happily, really.
That's lovely.
Another transmitter tested.
Can I talk about just briefly the transmitter sites we had? Because we didn't just have one transmitter site. We had a number, I think 4 or 5 around the Brighton area.
That's right.
One would have been certainly Lancaster Road.
That was the initial one.
Can
yeah.
you remember the other ones, John?
The next ones we had Well, we did to go to Dennis's house, and we
Yeah, that
actually
was a County Drive.
County Drive.
That was right at the length of the roof, wasn't it? It went the length of a terrace.
You took it along the gutters or something, didn't you?
No, around the chimney pots,
pots,
all
yeah.
along the roof ridge.
The aerial,
and it was a six house terrace.
Yeah.
Done a right turn and down, and it was hoisted on somebody's washing line at the far end of the garden.
I remember that, yeah.
So it was
And we brought the transmitter up and played it with a playback tape.
Yes, and that was in the back bedroom. That was
wow.
and it went everywhere.
Of course, the best one of the lot, which never really got going, was the White Hawk one.
One of us had the idea of possibility. It was probably you.
It
Had
would
the idea. It would have been your idea, I suspect.
Well,
to-
you would have said, or Dennis, you know, it would have come out that we need a horizontal aerial.
Yeah.
And yes, I probably would have said, oh, I'll tell you what, spreading one across our two flats would have been, might be all right. And that's where it went, yeah.
So that was the fun and games of actually...
We decided to do it,
To do it, that's it. So it meant going up onto the flat roof of Albourne House.
Yeah. And Swanborough Place.
That's right. And there was a question of going up onto the top floor, unscrewing the lift housing, probably the padlock.
There was a padlock on there. I remember taking a padlock off of the one in Swanborough, but you probably did.
Would have taken the one done the one in Albourne House
Yeah.
with the step ladders, got and climbed up into the loft space of Albourne House. Because that's where the lift housing was in there. And then sort of very carefully walk round the lift housing, and then there would have been a hatch going out onto the flat roof.
Yeah, because all the lift housing was up on the roof of there, yeah.
Right.
On both blocks, of course.
Yeah.
So.
And then we would have taken our aerial wire up there and touched one
I believe at the time, what we did, the chaps, whoever it was on the two roofs.
Right.
We threw a cable off one side, trudged it across the other side, and then I think you remembered a fishing rod of some sort.
Yes.
You probably dropped a leaded light down to get it down straight down, instead of throwing ropes over there.
That's it.
Hooked it up on the bottom, wound it up, and then we pulled it tight across the two roofs.
That's it. We've actually got a picture that we'll show you now, a picture of that aerial that you've drawn on.
Yeah,
of course,
that's right.
The buildings
the buildings are still there as they were. In the photo, there is buildings at the back, but they weren't there, I believe, when we did the aerial. I don't think they were there.
No.
Anyway, I'll put in a drawing across of where the aerial went.
That's it.
And as you look at the photo on the right-hand side, that is right, isn't it?
Yes.
That's right-hand side, you will see there should be a wire hanging down probably about 4 floors, where we actually decided that when I came out onto my balcony to connect the aerial up to the equipment inside the flat, where I could pull up the wire and connect it
up.
and then start the transmission,
And then after the transmission...
Pardon?
Then after the transmission...
of course I disconnected and dropped it down. Then if any GPO, I think it was GPO.
It was GPO, Interference Department. Something
if
like
they
that.
found anything and got on the roof, they would just find a loose end of the wire not leading to any particular flat. And they'd have a job to prove anything, wouldn't they then? But
I know it was a terrific... It was the height, wasn't it?
It was the height, of course. It was just level with the race hill. They weren't allowed to build any higher because they needed to see from the stadium, the racing stadium, they needed to be able to see the start, which they used to start at the Woodingdean end.
Right.
So that was why it couldn't go any higher. But, I mean, it did our trick just about, didn't it?
Fantastic. I mean, with any transmitting area, the higher you can get.
But it went everywhere. I remember going up the A23. It was swamping in around Hurstbeard Point, Albourne, around Small Dole. It dipped out a bit down, as I got down in behind the cement works.
Yes.
It was in and out. And then as soon as I broke cover, it was swamping in. And then along, Shoreham.
Yes, really.
But so I mean, I don't know how it was.
Did we not get requests from the Isle of Wight?
We got it was the Isle of Wight. I mean, it was booming because it was all it had was the sea.
I think we were just running 50 watts, weren't we?
Right now it's exactly 2:45. You're listening to Britain Radio on 234 metres in the medium wave band, 1290 kilohertz. As one sort of thing of roses, why not stay with Crackling Rose and a little thing from Neil Diamond.
Crackling Rosie, get on board. We gonna ride till there ain't no...
I believe you did some DJing at a local pub.
Yes, I did actually. I actually went as a resident DJ for 7.5 years at the old ship, which of course continued from the pirate days, and from that I went to mobile, obviously DJing, and then on to wedding videos. Absolutely.
Going back to the ship, I believe you got some young ladies there.
Oh, they were the naughty strippers. But of course, that was part of the fun of the game of growing up. Because I was only a young man in those days. And I had the red blood.
The area was roped off, I believe.
Oh, most certainly.
The law.
The law stated that we must be roped from the audience.
So no touching the girls.
Absolutely none.
You could, because you were...
I could not. I wasn't allowed to either. Oh dear.
Thank you very much, Barry. Really good to see you after all this time.
Absolutely lovely to see you, Tony.
And we'll hear some more of you a little later on this film. We've got some great recordings. And thank you once again, Barry.
Thank you, Tony. Bye-bye.
All these tapes of 40 years ago, there's a bit in a program I was doing with the cinema lineup.
Oh yes,
listen to that.
yeah.
These cinemas and theatres that have long since gone, let alone what they were showing.
The
have a
Academy.
listen.
Yeah, the Academy.
Have a listen to the cinema lineup. See
Yeah.
if you can work out where
Where
the
they
cinemas and theatres were. Have a listen to this.
And here promised when I find the right fader, and here promised is the local cinema lineup, when I can find the local rag, that is. First of all, my life. First of all, it's the ABC Cinemas. The ABC Brighton, Up the Chastity Belt. That's rather interesting, starring Frankie Howard and Eartha Kitt. That's also showing at the ABC Hove. At the ABC Astoria Brighton, that's opposite St Peter's Church, I do believe. Not knowing Brighton very well, it's Where Eagles Dare, starring Richard Burton and Clint Eastwood. At the Classic Cinema at Western Road in Brighton, it's Scrooge, starring Alec Guinness. At the Continental Camptown, Hands Off Gretel. In the first showing in Sussex of the band film. That's interesting. At the Embassy in Western Road also, A High Wind in Jamaica. At the Academy, 101 Dalmatians, good old Walt Disney classic coming back for you. That's at the Academy. And at the Regent, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Bedknobs and Broomsticks. And believe it or not, at the Odeon, West Street, and now for something completely different from the Monty Python's Flying Circus team on the old box, which must be good. How about an actual stage performance of Christmas Carol starring Richard Todd as Scrooge? Or you can have Jack and the Beanstalk at the Brighton Hove Operatic Society at the Dome, Monday the 27th of December for 1 week. There we go, that's your lot. That's the Cinema Roundup, Britain Radio style. Mr. Guy Darrell for you. Number entitled Hard Loving. 22 minutes past the hour of 1 o'clock.
This is Britain Radio on 199 metres in the medium wave band. This is Simon Johns at the microphone. Race with the Devil from the gun.
You sure this will work on radio?
Good morning. Good morning. You're listening to the Kangaroo, who will take you up, we hope, until 8:30, provided nothing goes wrong.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, now touch me, babe. Can't you see that I am not afraid? What was that promise that you made? Why won't you tell me what she said? What was that promise that you made?
The Kangaroo on Britain Radio.
In the white room with black curtains near the station. Black roof country, no gold pavements, tired starlings.
My love, the days are colder, so let me take your hand and lead you through a snow-white land. Oh, 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 oh. My love, the year is older, so let me hold you tight and while away this winter night. Oh, oh. I see the firelight in your eyes. Come kiss me now before it dies. We'll find a winter world of love, 'cause love is warmer in December. My darling, stay here in my arms till summer comes along.
Okay, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. And any last comments? Next couple of minutes left?
Well, if you think this is good, you want to see the next one.
Yeah. Right, we'll be right back.
We've now got to find all the missing tapes. It's the missing tapes. There were reels and reels of completed shows.
Yes, indeed.
They're laying in somebody's loft somewhere, and it'd be great fun to find them.
If you've got them, please bring them back.
Yeah.
These tapes, if you've seen extracts from, are tapes that were stored in Johnny Preston's loft for 40 years. And there were 10 tapes, and we've got a lot of programming off that. But the trouble is, the programming was recorded over and over again on the tapes, so limited to how many programs there were there. But there's probably about 15 programs. So
I've still got the
great
echo
fun.
machine.
Yeah.
The WEM.
You've still got the echo machine. It's goodbye from Johnny.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. God
Good
bless.
night, and it's good night from me. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Isn't that pitiful?
Yeah.
Well, hello, here we are. Shut up.
Yeah, she's asking after you.
Mary, North Sea. Blackburn, Anne Nightingale.
Anne Nightingale, miserable cow.
Yeah.
Because she lived
Well,
in
don't say that, because she gave us half our records.
Did she?
Yeah.
Hello, Peter.
Oh, hello, Tony. Hi, nice to see you after all these years.
And you too. You join. Where's this funny now? This is funny. Hello, Peter. Swanborough Place and what's it called?
Swanborough.
Swanborough. All right. Swans. Oh no, Swanborough.
You want to say Swansborough?
No, Swanborough Place. Swanborough Place, and here is the man himself.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Take 98. Hello, Peter.
Hello, Tony. Hi.
You joined Britain Radio at its intersection during 1968, I believe.
That's correct.
Bloody centrally going off now. Oh,
Coffee too, shall
Right, coffee one.
Come from the camera. This is Shane. This is Shane. Look down. This is Shane, who is a ship's chef. Very good. Very
And
good.
she's a lesbian.